This is Peter York.
And this is Michael Pierce.
And you're watching Seattle Wireless TV. Hi, and welcome to the January 2004 episode of Seattle Wireless TV. I'm Peter York.
This is Michael Pierce.
In this month's episode, Jerry Curry from Nova Scotia, Canada, sent us a segment entitled Wireless in the Wilderness.
And Danny from Ireland has sent us an introduction to Cork Wireless.
And finally, Drew from WiFiMaps.com sat down and interviewed the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation about wardriving and wireless. Hope you enjoy the show.
Hi, welcome to Southwest Nova Scotia on Canada's East Coast. I'm Jerry Curry. As an Apple reseller, but also as a user, I was faced with the ever greater necessity of having a broadband connection to the internet. Yet with our sparse population scattered over a wide area, traditional methods of delivery remain economically unfeasible for much of our region. To test the feasibility of providing a wireless solution, I took it upon myself to see if I could make it work for me. What you're about to see is a record of my attempt. Here's Wireless in the Wilderness. I hope you enjoy it. This is where I used to live. Toronto, the Big Smoke, millions of people and every type of internet connection imaginable. Now I live here. Lots of fresh air and lots of seagulls, but just a little light in the high-tech department. And broadband? In town and along the highways, it's a possibility. But inland? Forget about it. You see, that's my problem. I live here, about 5 kilometers from the nearest access to broadband. So what's a hardcore geek gonna do? Get creative, that's what. First step was a trip to the roof to see the lay of the land. Fortunately, I live on a high point, and as luck would have it, I could see several buildings off in the distance that might serve my purpose. The one closest to me, and with the most potential, turned out to be an old Baptist church, and the church warden just happened to be my neighbor. After consultation with the congregation, I was given permission to put my plan into action. My plan was to have a cable modem installed at the church and implement a wireless link to home using off-the-shelf IEEE 802.11b wireless hardware. Clear line-of-sight signal paths are essential at the 2.4 GHz frequencies used by Wi-Fi, so the antenna had to be placed as high as possible. Note its small, unobtrusive size. Despite this, it provides over 16 dB of gain that is confined to a 35-degree beam. I had a local chimney sweep install it for me, although I did all the inside work myself. A broom closet on the main floor made a convenient place to have the modem installed. To protect it and the wireless access point, I also installed an uninterruptible power supply. From here it was up to the wireless access point, 80 feet above in the 150-year-old post and beam steeple. When dealing with Wi-Fi frequencies and the low power of Wi-Fi radios, it is extremely important to avoid long antenna cable runs, so it was necessary to place the access point as close to the antenna as possible. Because there was no power available inside the steeple, it was necessary to find another way of powering the device. This was accomplished through the use of a technique known as power over Ethernet. Simply put, the power was sent up to the access point using the extra unused wire pairs of the Ethernet cable, connecting the cable modem to the access point. The access point is an airport base station. Notice the small cable on the right. This is the antenna cable going out to the antenna on the other side of the wall. The object at home was to detect and establish a link with the access point, then integrate my home local area network. This was accomplished by using a matching antenna and coupling it to a Linksys WET11 wireless Ethernet bridge. The Ethernet side of the bridge is simply connected to my Ethernet network. The Apple Airport Base Station provides network address translation and DHCP, so I let it provide all the IP addresses for my network. To ensure that the wireless connection is as secure as possible, I have taken a three-pronged approach, all implemented in the airport base station. First, I created a closed network by hiding the network name. Secondly, I implemented MAC address filtering, allowing only the WET11 and one Wi-Fi PC card to access the base station. And finally, I am using web encryption. These three barriers virtually guarantee that the signal will not be pirated. So what's it been like? Well, as of July 2003, the installation has been in place and up for over 6 months, and through one of the harshest winters on record. I have had to go to the church and do a physical reset only twice. Otherwise, with the exception of ISP downtime, I have had continuous internet access, and surprisingly, even during the most severe snow and rainstorms, and I routinely experience sustained FTP transfer rates in excess of 500 kilobits per second. I am one extremely happy camper. Since my initial work, I have set up several other long-range wireless connections, and I'm now working on my most ambitious project yet, a 20-kilometer link across St. Mary's Bay and back again, providing access to 5 new users along the way. Wireless using off-the-shelf equipment is truly a viable solution for remote and sparsely populated areas. I highly recommend that you give it a whirl. If you need any help, or if you have any other questions, you're more than welcome to contact me. For Seattle Wireless TV, I'm Jerry Curry. So long for now.
Okay, my name is Danny Deneen. I'm the founder of CorkWireless.com. Cork Wireless is a hobby group, a wireless group in Cork, Ireland. Cork is the second largest city in the Republic of Ireland. At the moment we have 3 nodes operational. We're trying to link Ballincollig, about 8 miles from Cork City, to Bishopstown, which is part of Cork City.
What would you want to do next? What are your goals for your group?
Okay, our goals are to link Cork City and Cork County together to form a wireless network. Eventually we want to connect this network to the rest of Ireland, to the Irish WAN network.
How many people? How many people are we talking about?
At the moment we have a team of 8 to 10 people interested who are actually purchasing equipment and actually spending their time. On top of that, there's a mailing list with about 25 subscribed people. Once again, only about 10 of those people are
So
actually...
you say it's early days, yeah?
It's early days, you have to have the money. That seems to be a stumbling point for a lot of people.
What would you, I mean, once you get your nodes up, why? I mean, why would you want to, why do you want to do this? I mean, why cheap broadband, internet connectivity, community networking?
Just because it's possible. The internet aspect is a secondary goal. A lot of people look at it from the internet point. I'm looking at it more purely as a technical TCP/IP network with all the possibilities that TCP/IP offers. Voice over IP is a very interesting field. File sharing, networking, with internet as a secondary goal.
Okay. Talk about the technology a bit then. Which, you know, we've got A, B, G knocking around, some other ones coming down the line. I can't remember which ones they are. What are you using at the moment?
Okay, we're using 802.11b, 11 megabit wireless networking. We're sticking to that at the moment until we have our backbone ready. Maybe in the future we might switch to G. It's possible, but at the moment we're just sticking to B because it's proven, it's reliable, and it works.
And what data rates are you getting through it?
Getting 4 megabits a second. That's over an 8-kilometer link.
And do you have, using web, are you encrypting anything?
Everything is 128-bit web encrypted. Privacy and security are very important aspects of wireless networking.
What about antennas? How are you getting the distance?
We use standard 20 dB dish antennas, 19 dB dish antennas. We don't tend to go for panels at all.
Why, do you have problems with
them? Fine, we've
just don't.
Never tried them.
Directionals? Just basically directionals?
Everything's directionals. We do have a few omnis. We have an 8 dB omni, a 12 dB omni in operation.
Do you know what distance you're getting off the omnis?
Generally about 2 miles.
Okay. Alright. Where do you want to go next with it? What happens? We were very early days.
What I'd like to see happen is a network in Cork City, because we're between Cork City and Ballincollig. That seems to be the main focus at the moment. Hopefully then we can expand west or east, north, in County Cork.
Tell us about the box. You love this thing.
Okay, this is a Socris box. This is what we call a Socris box. It's basically a motherboard built by Socris. It does power over Ethernet here in the network port. As you can see at the moment, we have 2 Buffalo 802.11b antennas, cards attached. These cards can function as clients or access points.
Tell me about the access points, because I wouldn't have known that you could turn those into access points.
Okay, using a modified firmware, you can actually turn this into an access point. Everything is controlled with StarOS, which is a wireless operating system, stored in the compact flash card here, which is a 32 megabit compact flash, so there's no need for any moving parts. This is.
And what size is StarOS sitting on it?
StarOS is 8, 10, between 8 and 10 megabytes. We have 2 network ports, A and B. A is the power over Ethernet network, so you stick this in a box on the roof with 1 data cable, 1 Cat5 cable coming down. You can alternatively stick a 802.11g card, a mini PCI card in here. So there's room for 3 access points, three clients, or a mix of each. I'd like to thank Seattle Wireless for the invitation to produce this segment for their show. I'd like to thank Cork Wireless, all the members from Cork Wireless, for their support and for actually getting involved in building our network.
Design music. 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 Design music.
Hi, this is Drew from Jodag for Seattle Wireless TV. More and more people are taking advantage of wireless technologies. People are surfing the internet, exchanging emails, sharing files through peer-to-peer networks, and exchanging instant messages. Wireless communication makes these internet features easier to use by cutting the cord, which frees us from the confines of desktop computing. Now, we are informed, connected, and untethered. These new freedoms are a double-edged sword, however. Mobility and convenience expose us to security and privacy concerns. With a few thoughts to these issues, however, we can limit our exposure to these potential perils while enjoying all of the benefits this new technology has to offer. If we pay attention to some of the implications of broadcasting our data through the air, we can make sure that we are not victimized and that others are not victimized as well. Wireless communication relies on radio signals. These signals are broadcast into the airwaves, expecting to be received. As Frank Conrad learned back in the 20s here in Pittsburgh, anyone may be listening. We've asked Special Agent Tom Grasso from the NCFTA to discuss some of these issues with us.
As you said, I'm a special agent with the FBI. I'm assigned to the Pittsburgh division of the FBI, but I spend most of my time over here at the FBI's National Cyber Forensics and Training Alliance, which is a joint effort between the FBI, academia, and members of the private sector to work on the issues of cybercrime. What we've done here at the what we call the NCFTA, I think, is something unique for law enforcement and unique for the FBI. Is we're taking people from the law enforcement side of the house, FBI agents, law enforcement officers from other agencies, and putting them together in the same room with experts from the private sector, experts from academia, people that are real experts in IT. And we think that's a good combination for fighting cybercrime. The FBI investigates a variety of cybercrime, a wide range of different types of cybercrime. Everything from your traditional computer intrusions to stuff such as eBay fraud, different types of online fraud, to things like child pornography, if it relates to the internet. So we really have a wide range of crimes that we investigate relative to quote-unquote cybercrime. And we're really busy as a result of that.
While you're surfing the internet from the couch, dashing off to another meeting, or instant messaging NerdGirl666, someone may be listening. Ask yourself if you really want others to know what you do on the internet. For some people like me, this is not such an issue. For businesses, corporations, and top-secret government installations, this can be a real problem.
I think first and foremost is what you said, they need to secure the network. So you can't run an open wireless network in this day and age. And I know a lot of equipment comes out of the box with that default configuration, but you just can't do that because you're opening yourself up to all sorts of problems.
Big problems. Spammers, crackers, crackheads, and freaks. But how do we secure our wireless networks?
I think you need to employ encryption. You need to employ whatever other sort of technologies might be out there for protecting this data. I don't see anything really about the wireless stuff that makes it more apt to being used for spamming than your landline systems. I mean, certainly, the issue right now is the vast quantity of home computer systems that are not secure and that are easy for somebody to compromise and use for their own devices. And when I say use for your own devices, that might mean using to relay spam, or might mean use it as some place to launch a DDoS attack for, or use it as some place to go out and commit other nastiness on the internet and not have it traced back to you. So, I think that is the real issue, is the large number of unsecure home computer systems that are connected to high bandwidth internet connections, like DSL and cable and stuff like that. Let's face it, again, 5 years ago, we all had 28.8 connections to the internet. If someone got into our system, there was really only so much damage they could do. Plus, it wasn't online all the time. It was, for a few hours when you were surfing the net, the net connection's down. Well, now we have, hundreds of thousands of systems, and probably many more than hundreds of thousands of systems across the country that are plugged into these high bandwidth DSL connections, and they're on all the time. So I think that's the real concern. the wireless aspect of it, as far as spamming goes, I'm not sure that's any more likely to be used as spam than these other methods.
Web encryption is already built into your access point. It's not all that great, but it will deter unauthorized users from bothering with your network. VPNs are an old-fashioned way to encrypt your traffic. There are plenty of options.
But I would say, definitely approach wireless with caution, but realize there are technologies out there to help you secure it, and look at those technologies. Identify an expert in wireless security and utilize that person's expertise to secure your wireless network. And also consider that a wireless network might not be suitable for all types of applications. You might have particularly sensitive data that it's not worth going through the trouble of securing over a wireless network. You might just want to leave it on regular landlines. These are all things that have to be considered. But also consider that landlines in and of themselves are not 100% secure either.
And that has always been true. Even on a wired network, I try to encrypt as much traffic as possible.
I would say if you do want to offer some type of wireless service, I would say make sure you know who your subscribers are. Okay? So do just as any network administrator would do, whether it's with wireless or whether it's with regular type of landline connection, is have some type of authentication, some type of credentials that the person needs to present in order to connect to your network. And make sure you know who you've given out those credentials to. You want some type of accounting because you do want to be able to, ultimately you're probably going to be held responsible for what happens on your network. So if it's your network and you're going to be responsible for it, you do want some type of accounting where you can trace back who's using it and what they're doing on it.
Access points are not generally designed to handle subscribers. Some home gateways have additional features. Read the manual. SeattleWireless.net has additional information on these topics. Check their mailing list archives. There are benefits to listening in on ambient traffic that don't involve cracking or snooping and are a passive means to a useful end. Location. Since wireless users are mobile, their location can be determined through simple means. CMUSky.org has a web-based application that displays all wireless users actively connected over top a map of their campus. The logs from the signals of CMU's wireless network are parsed by some very creative scripts. Access point locations can also be mapped through wardriving. Wardriving is the practice of passively listening for the beacons of access points and logging the location with a GPS. You can browse maps of access points at places like WiFiMaps.com. Their web-based application uses street-level maps of the U.S. for locating hotspots.
As you've described wardriving, of just going out and looking for networks but not actually accessing those networks, that to me sounds analogous to port scanning. So to the extent that you're not intercepting data, because that would be a violation of the wiretap statute, and to the extent that you're not gaining access to somebody's network, because that would be an intrusion, I think those are the things that the people that are doing this have to be mindful of. At least under the framework of Title 18, Section 1030. And again, there might be some other wireless laws out there that I'm not aware of, and there certainly might be laws addressing this on a state level, which I would not be aware of either. So that's why I would say I don't feel comfortable giving people legal advice, but in the framework of Title 18, Section 1030, I think that's where the whole wardriving thing would fit into. I'm not aware of any cases where we've gone after somebody for wardriving. Unauthorized access to a network is another matter. So I think it's a matter of what you do above and beyond just looking for networks that are out there. It's just like we haven't. I'm not aware of any cases where we've investigated somebody for port scanning a system. It's a matter of if you do something above and beyond just port scanning. I've never done wardriving myself. I would like to see it in action sometime and see what that's all about.
There's a lot to think about when deploying wireless networks. Help stop crime at the source by securing yourself. If you do run an open environment, add a layer of security wherever possible. Expect to be monitored and choose your applications appropriately. I'm Drew from Jodag, and thanks for watching Seattle Wireless TV. Special thanks to Erica Holmstrand, Eric Blevins, and Special Agent Tom Grasso.
Well, thanks for watching the show. Stay tuned for next month. We're going to do some website upgrades. And oh, by the way, sign up for our mailing list so you know when the next show's coming out.
See you later.